When you log into Desmos.com, you'll see this screen. If you want just a basic calculator for function or scientific, you can click down here. To get to the teacher side of Desmos, you can click on here, or you can just log into teacher.desmos.com. If you're just looking to graph, you just go straight to Desmos.com and click on Start Graphing. And you'll have your coordinate plane. Over here on the left is where you can type in your equation. So let's say I wanted to graph the equation y equals 3x minus 5. It'll graph it for me. Also on the graph, it gives you, if you click on it or hover over, it gives you the y-intercept and the x-intercept. Over here on the left, you can keep adding as many equations or lines to the graph as you want. So let's say I want to graph the horizontal line y equals 4. I can graph that. This would be very handy for kids that are doing systems of equations to see where those two lines intersect and to check their answers. You can add as many equations in here you want. Each new line will be a different color. Let's say I want to add a quadratic graph. I can type in y equals x squared. To get the squared, you hit the shift and then 6, and that'll bring you up to the exponent, and then you put 2. Then you have to arrow over to get out of that. Plus 4x minus 3. Now I have my quadratic graph. If you do not, if you want to change the colors, you can change the colors. If you want to have a dashed line versus a solid line, you can choose those as well. This here is letting me slide and pick my y-intercept that I want, so I can change my equation. You just type in any type of graph that you want. If you want to change your settings of what your polar graph looks like, you can click on this little wrench up here on the top right corner. If you want a polar graph like that, you can change that from the grid to the polar graph. You can take the grids off. You can add arrows on the ends of your lines, or like this, like the kids normally see. You can take the numbers off. You can add labels to the x and y axis. You can decide what you want it to go up by. So let's say I want my numbers to go up by 1. I'll have every single one there. Probably want to do the same with my y. So I'm going to go from negative 10 to positive 10. And just click off of that when you are done. If you want to see the teacher side of things, you can just type in teacher.desmos.com and it'll bring you to the screen. You could also get to the screen by clicking on that teacher button when you log into the regular Desmos website. When you get here, you're going to have to either create an account or sign in, which you should have done already. I'm going to sign in. I believe I already have an account set up, and I do. And then these are all the things that you can do. These are all of the activities. There are a bunch of different collections of activities over here on the left. So I teach algebra, so I mostly look at the linear ones. We have linear systems. You can choose systems of two linear equations. This tells you how long the activity will be. This one here says it's an introduction, so it'll help kids get introduced to systems of linear equations. Linear functions, one I've used a lot is, let's see, the card sort linear functions. You could do that one. I'm just going to pick one and we're going to work through it. So let's pick on one that's not too long. Let's do card sort linear functions. So what happens is you will create a code for your students. And that's right here. That 6-digit code, what numbers and letters, is going to be what you give to the students, and that's how they're going to sign up for that activity. I actually have an activity created already, but I'm going to show you that a little bit later. So first I'm going to show you what this one will look like if I was a student. So I can click on student preview, and this is what your students are going to see. So here it says, put these 9 cards into 3 groups according to the similarities you see. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let's click off this so we can see the rest of them. So we have a couple tables, we have a couple equations. Did I want to put those together? Yes. So if you see this has a negative slope, these are all going down, so they have a negative slope, and then this graph also has a negative slope. So I'm going to put those 3 together. This is a horizontal line, this is a horizontal line, and that equation is a horizontal line. So I'm going to put those together. Add that in there. Does it want to go? There we go. And then these 3 look like they all have a positive slope. So I'm going to put these 3 together. And then I'm going to click on the next button here to go to the next screen. This one says, how did you decide which cards to group with this one? So we have the equation y equals negative 2x minus 4. What features were important to you? So I put this one with all the cards. I paired this card with all of the cards that have a negative slope. And then you click share with class. As the other students answer it, all of their things will come up here as well. And then I think this is a good thing to put up on the screen so that you can talk about how are these kids combining these together, what does it look like, and it's a good discussion for how the kids are grouping the cards together. And then here's another one that will lead to a good discussion. It says, Kimberly grouped these 2 cards together. What title do you think she might give this group? So looking at these 2 cards, this one here, y equals 3, is a horizontal line that goes through 3. And then this graph looks like it has a y-intercept of 3. So I think they both have a y-intercept of 3. So I would maybe title it same y-intercept. And then I would share that, and then maybe we'd see what the rest of the class had, and that would be a good discussion on why these 2 would be matched together. We can click on some sample responses here. Positive positive y-intercepts, just different things that the kids might write, and you can go through that. If you want to create your own activity, over here on the left where it says custom, you're going to click on custom. And then you can click on new activity here on the top right. Pick a title. I'm not actually creating one I really want to use right now, but I'm going to click new activity. And so you have this screen here. You can add a graph in if you're graphing and you want kids to do something with a graph. You just type in your equation. So let's say y equals 3x minus 5. And then maybe my directions are identify the slope and y-intercept. And I'm going to click on input here for the students to type in what the slope and the y-intercept are here. And then I can click on, if I wanted to do another one like that, I can click on these 3 little dots and duplicate it, and then just change what my graph is. So let's say I want to change the equation to negative 1/2. To get the fraction, you just hit the slash on your computer key. And let's put one that has a y-intercept of 0. I'm going to click done. And so now I have the same question that I had before, only it has a different graph. If I want to add a new different type of screen, I can click on that. I can add a table. I'm going to label my top X and Y. Let's say I want them to find the slope and the y-intercept from a table. Identify the slope and y-intercept. So I could pick some x values to see what it's going up by, and I'm going to pick some y's. Let's say we'll start at -3. Let's have it go up by 3s. 0, 3, 6. Let's do one more. And then I'm going to put a note so they have room to type in their answer over here. Oops, not I want a note, I want an input for them to input their answers. And then you can just keep adding more screens what you want. I'm going to preview that to see what it looks like for the kids. So here it says identify the slope and y-intercept. So they would type in, so let's say slope equals 3 and y-intercept equals -5. And then I could share that, and then the students' responses would come up after that. Do the same thing here, type in the slope and the y-intercept, and continue, and then I would be done. So that's a way you can create an activity. I will show you an activity I created and work through it with you in a later video.